Carlo was a bus driver, a simple man who had always loved his job. For years he had driven the same roads of his city, a small town in the province, taking passengers to their destinations. His days were marked by routine, without unexpected events, at least until that day. Before continuing, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell. It was a hot July afternoon and Carlo was driving his bus. The air conditioning was barely working and the passengers, visibly annoyed by the heat, were fidgeting. Among them was a young, pregnant woman, Elena, clearly in distress. Carlo immediately noticed her paleness. She looked around anxiously and her face showed an expression of pain. Without thinking too much, Carlo stopped the bus to approach her. "Are you okay?" he asked her with concern. Elena looked up with eyes full of tears. "The baby is coming," she replied, her voice shaking. Carlo was faced with a difficult choice. The rules were clear. There was no veering off course. But faced with his life in danger, Carlo did not hesitate. "I'm sorry, but I have to make a detour," he announced to the passengers, turning the wheel sharply to head for the hospital. Some passengers complaining about the delay, but Carlo didn't listen. His only goal was to get to the hospital on time. The traffic was heavy, but Carlo dodged the cars with skill, feeling the urgency growing inside him. Every minute counted. They finally arrived at the hospital. Carlo stopped the bus and helped Elena off. The nurses quickly carried her inside, and Carlo watched as she disappeared through the automatic doors. He had done the right thing, but he knew he had broken the rules. His mind was reeling. Back behind the wheel, Carlo tried to get back on track, but it wasn't long before his phone rang. It was his supervisor, Franco. "Carlo, come to the office right away," he said coldly. Carlo's heart sank. He already knew what was coming. The rules had been broken. Arriving at the company, Carlo was greeted by Franco, who was waiting for him with his arms crossed. "Do you know why you're here?" he asked sternly. Carlo nodded, unable to find the words to defend himself. "You deviated from the route without authorization. I don't even want to know why you did it. You're fired." Those words fell on him like boulders. Carlo returned home distraught. His 16-year-old daughter, Marta, was waiting for him as always, but he couldn't look her in the eye. That evening, the weight of losing his job crushed him. Despite everything, however, Carlo knew he would do it all over again. Saving that woman and her child had been right. His heart was at peace. In the days that followed, Carlo's life seemed to be falling apart. The bills continued to arrive, and the idea of looking for a new job filled him with anxiety. He was not young, and the job market was merciless. The days passed slowly, and his mind was crowded with dark thoughts. Marta, noticing the change in her father, tried to help him. "Dad, you don't have to be sad. You were a hero," she told him one evening. Carlo tried to smile at her, but his daughter's words hit him deeply. He felt he had failed as a father, that he was no longer able to support her as he once had. One day, while Carlo was lost in thought, he received an unexpected visitor. At the door was Elena, the woman he had helped that day. In her arms, she held her baby. "Carlo, I owe you my son's life," she said, visibly moved. "I want to do something for you." Carlo tried to play it down, saying he hadn't done anything special, but Elena insisted. "My husband runs a small transportation company. He needs people like you. I know you don't want favors, but this is an opportunity you deserve." Carlo was speechless. He hadn't expected such an offer. In the days that followed, Carlo thought long and hard about Elena's proposal. It wasn't easy for him to accept help, but the reality of his situation forced him to make a decision. With a heavy heart, he decided to meet with Elena's husband, Marco, to discuss the possibility of a new job. Marco greeted him with a smile and explained the project to him. They wanted to create an emergency transport service for those who couldn't afford an ambulance. Carlo would be perfect for that role. After a long thought, Carlo accepted, seeing this offer as a second chance. The first few days at his new job were full of challenges. Carlo had to coordinate a team and handle emergency situations, but he felt like he had found a new direction in his life. Every day, helping people in need gave him a sense of purpose he had never felt before. Despite the difficulties, Carlo was fully committed to the project. But there were moments when doubts tormented him. Every time an emergency call came in, Carlo wondered if he would be able to make the right choice, if he could save everyone. One day, he received 2 emergency calls at the same time, a pregnant woman and a child injured in an accident. He had to choose who to help. He decided to send the car toward the child, knowing he couldn't save both of them. The weight of the decision tormented him all day. Even though the baby was safe, Carlo couldn't shake the guilt he felt for the pregnant woman. That evening, talking to Marta, she said to him, "Dad, you can't save everyone, but you're making a difference for someone." Those words hit him hard. Maybe she was right. Over time, Carlo learned to accept that he couldn't control everything. His work wasn't perfect, but every life he saved was a victory. He felt that even with all the uncertainty, he was doing something meaningful, and that helped him find some inner peace. A few weeks later, he received an unexpected call. It was a proposal from the municipality. They wanted to expand the project to a regional scale. What had started as a small service was about to become something huge, a safety net for thousands of people. Carlo was speechless. Looking out the window of his office, Carlo finally felt at peace. He knew that the path would not be easy, but he understood that every difficulty was part of something bigger. He could not change the past, but he could build a better future. And that, for him, was everything. Did you like this story? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching the video till the end, and see you next story.